Chapter 3. How much should you pay? The question often comes up, how do you know how much to pay for a mobile home? How do you know if it's a good price, and you're not paying too much? The best answer I can give you is that first you must know, or have a very good idea what the home will sell for. When you know what you can sell the home for, then it's simply a matter of negotiating a price you're willing to pay. You have to decide how much profit you need in order to make the deal work. How much should you sell for? My rule of thumb is to sell the home for at least double what I have invested. So obviously, I must first have a very good idea what a particular home will sell for, before I can know how much to pay. And how do you learn what a home will sell for? You learn by studying the types of homes you will be selling, and by learning your market. Start by studying the sales and comparing prices of homes comparable to the ones you want to buy and sell. Check the classified ads in your local paper. Stop by several dealers and ask about any used homes they have for sale. Visit all the parks in your area to determine which parks you want to do business in, and which parks you want to stay away from. Meet the park owners, managers, and see if they are people that will work with you. Learn what the rules and regulations are in the various parks. The prices listed in your paper, or by a dealer, will normally be full retail price. And in most cases there is no owner financing being offered. Or, the dealer's ads will lead you to believe they offer financing with little down and small monthly payments. In reality, this is really a teaser ad to get people to stop and look. It's a numbers game, and they know that if enough people stop and look at the home, they will eventually find someone that will qualify for bank financing. But, the majority of potential buyers won't be able to qualify, so don't be intimidated by the ads and think you will have a lot of competition. It takes time and patience to learn this, but it's necessary. Without this knowledge, you could very well wind up paying too much for the home, and then find out you haven't left yourself enough of a profit margin. Or, finding out after you've bought the home that it's in a park that has a bad reputation, and you can't find a buyer that wants to live in that park. Not a book. There's not a book that will show you how much a mobile home is supposed to be worth. The books are quite expensive, around $90, I believe. I've never used this book, and I don't recommend that you do. And here's the reason.
For the older type homes like I deal in, and hopefully the kind you will be dealing in, I think that if you use the prices in the book, you will wind up paying to zero much for the home. You will also probably try to sell the home for too much. I think you will be much better off by learning your market, and learning what the fair market prices are in your area. For the newer homes, the book might be a good guideline. Especially, if you are working with banks and trying to get your buyers qualified for a bank loan, rather than carrying the note yourself. If you do want a book, try to get one of the mobile home dealers to either give you their old book, or offer to pay them a few bucks for one. A quick flip. There can sometimes be a certain situation that will allow you to pay more, sell for less, and still come out okay. So, don't be too quick to say no, just because it doesn't fit in with our guidelines. Take a little time and study each situation to see how you can make it work. For instance, suppose you check your list of potential buyers. You did make a list of those calls, didn't you? Checking through your list, you find one that sounds good. The information in your file shows a man who has a family, been on his job for several years, has a pretty good credit history, and can pay $1,000 down and $200 monthly payments. He wants to buy a home and stop paying rent. Everything looks great and you can see a good deal in the works, but you have one little problem. You don't have a home to sell this man. What to do? Do you just sit by and watch $1,000 go into somebody else's pocket, along with $200 a month? Of course not. Time for action. You start looking through your mobile home sellers list, and you find a home that fits right in with what your buyer wants. You call the seller to see if he still has the home, and to see if you can negotiate a deal. You're in luck. He still has the home, and he's willing to sell it for just what he owes on it. $4,500. Ouch. That's about $1,500 more than you had planned on spending. But, let's study this situation and see what can be done. By knowing our market, we already know from past experience that a fair selling price for this home is $6,000. If we have to pay $4,500 and sell for $6,000, then obviously we can't meet our minimum guidelines of selling for double what we have invested. Should we just forget about buying this home? We could keep looking for another home, but suppose our buyer finds one before we do, and we lose a sale. Before we let that happen, let's analyze our situation and see if we can make these numbers work. We have a buyer already lined up who can pay $1,000 down, and $200 monthly. We could probably arrange to buy and sell on the same day. If so, that means we won't have any costs, or holding expenses in this deal. Let's run some numbers and see how we will come out if we buy for $4,500 cash, and sell for $6,000, $1,000 down and a note for the balance. How note is structured: PMT 195.51 and 30 PV 5012.75 amount invested and yield PMT 195.51 and 30 PV 3544.6. As you can see from our chart, we can still make 44% out of this deal. How many people do you know that only make 449% in their dreams? And here we are wondering if we should even do the deal. Even though it falls outside of our guidelines, sell for double what we have invested, I'll go with a deal like this any day. It doesn't pay to get too greedy. Here's a rule that I always go by: make it your rule too. You make your profit when you buy, you get paid when you sell. Even though we didn't meet our minimum guidelines in this deal, there's still a good profit, and it was easy and quick. Test your market. If you're a little skeptical about buying that first home, for fear you might not be able to find a buyer, try this idea and test your market. I've recommended this idea to many people, and the results have been fantastic. It will only cost you the price of an ad, and you will get some idea of what the demand is for seller-financed homes in your area. Just pretend that you have a particular home you want to sell. Pick the type of home you expect to be dealing in, and run an ad in your local paper. Make sure the first line of your ad reads, "Will finance." Then describe the home, price, terms and etc., and wait for the calls. This will tell you how many potential buyers there are for that home. Price the home a little higher than you would be willing to sell for. If you don't get many calls after a week or two, lower the price and see what the response is. After several weeks of running ads, you will have a good feel for what the market is like, and the prices that attract the most buyers. And you should have some good prospects for a mobile home. Be sure to keep a list of all good potential buyers, so you can find them a home later. When a potential buyer calls on your ad, simply tell them that you have a contract on the one you have advertised, but you don't know yet if it will be approved.
Tell them you will have another one soon, and ask them to leave their name and phone number so you can call them back. Get all the information you can on them. How much down payment they can make, monthly payments, credit history, employer, when they need to move, location desired, and etc. Use the buyer info sheet in the appendix section. Learning your market and your product does take some time and effort, but it's not that hard to do. Just start checking out the parks, talk to the park owners, managers, and talk to the people in the park that have homes for sale. Talk to lots of people. Ask lots of questions, and listen closely to what they say. If you do that, you will learn lots of things. In the next chapter, we'll learn how to find that first mobile home and get started. And don't try to set the world on fire with your first deal. The important thing is to do that first deal. If you don't do the first one, you will never get to do the second one. So now is the time to get started. If you yearn for the good old days, just turn off the TV, refrigerator, and AC.